was updating a game. I thought I had plenty of time to update and patch all of my games, but then Baldur's Gate decided to take forever. So instead of starting, I could have started at like 10:30 or something. Instead of, I just decided to let it patch. It downloaded really fast, but then the patching took forever. So yeah, and it's still not done. It's at 76%. Why I'm patching Baldur's Gate when I'm not playing it actively right now? But I decided to let it wait. Maybe it'll be early. But then at like 10:55, it was still like 20 minutes till completion, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna pause it. I don't know. I want my stuff finished, and it feels wrong having it up. Anyways, we're gonna continue where we left off. I think we're still in the room, so we're somewhere safe. Hopefully there's nothing in our shower. Please be kind. No ghosts in my shower. Why? Spooky noises. Okay, good. We're good. Let's put on. I really liked our look, so we're gonna put on the hat and the glasses this time again. Those glasses look good on him. I'm kind of curious though, like, are these games connected? Oh yeah, he knows he looks good. Okay. Anything to read? No. I think we're good. I'm pretty sure I left off without needing to do anything. That scared me. Hi, Jaku. Welcome. Good morning. Let's see if there's anything there. This doesn't look new. No, it's not new. Ascending. I have a lot of stuff on me. I remember that we have to go back. We have to go back here. Through this. We have to go back through here. I don't know if there's like a way through this. Where is Mama's stuff? Where's Mama? I don't recall. Is she here? No. She's like outside of Lake Knot, isn't she? How do I go talk to Mama if I don't know where Mama is? What if she's here?
Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All.
Do I have any deliveries? No, just standard. I do need to go to Timefall. I think I did say that I was gonna go there. And I might as well get this too. I may as well do all of this. Hold on, maybe something can be delivered by bot. This one. Okay. Oh, the mules are gonna destroy that. That might be my first destroyed delivery. So we're gonna do this one. Let's say this. Yeah, just load it all into my how's my weapons? I might need another. Oh, I have 4. I have 4. 4 non-lethal assault rifles. Hi, Sarah. Welcome in. She's here next to me. Hi, Cherub. How are you? You guys doing anything fun today? Let's see if it'll all fit in my... No, not on my back. What the heck? Into the... It does fit. Whoa! Okay, okay. Now, let's see if I fit. Do I fit?
Order assigned.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Orders. That's auto delivery. They said to talk to Mama, but I don't know where she is. Do I fit in here? I do fit in here. Should I get the other one too? Should I do the other one too? Hi! Had Taco Bell. Ooh, what was your order? I like their power bowls. I think that's what it's called. Chiral density gauges for use near incinerators. I want to do that, but I feel like I have already too much. So maybe when I come back, I'll do that. But for now... Oshinoko, is that the one where there's like... Hold on, sorry. Switch. I need to like use all of my brain power to to do this. Yes, is that the one where it's like an idol singer thing, and there's something about twins and something about a celebrity?
Have a pleasant journey. Safe travels. Keeping on.
People!
Have a pleasant journey.
I'm so sorry.
Don't give up, you hear me? No matter what happens.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Wait, how do you do that? Is it possible to dodge? How do I remove markers? Because I don't need this anymore. Stop it! I don't need this marker anymore. Okay. Need to find Mama. I don't know where she is. I have to cross this again, so I have to fight people again. I'm depressed now? Oh no! Did something happen in the anime? Where is Mama? It doesn't say. I'm just gonna go to Lake Knot City, because I think that's where she is. Unless I'm mistaken, like maybe here? No, she's not near the craftsman. Why is there an exclamation mark right here? Cargo for Sam present. I have cargo! Okay, I will go. I will go there. We're gonna go straight to here. Straight line, because, yep.
Safe travels.
When have I ever taken the optimal route? Where's the... Huh?
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Where? I'm already going the wrong way. It's this way.
Scan.
There it is. There's the line.
Verifying ID.
Terrible things happen! Oh no, did someone die?
Weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified.
I highly doubt that I will watch it, so you're welcome to spoil that anime for me, unless someone else does not want the spoilers. I highly doubt I will watch it. I'm not an anime person. I'm a manga reader. Uh... Who left this here? I wonder.
Okay.
Who left this here? I'm about to go fight people and I'm like stacking these. Ooh.
Safe travels.
I'm stacking my backpack with stuff. That's fine. It's okay. We just gotta plan accordingly. Can I maybe put some more stuff away first? Whoa. Okay, so on my back are a bunch of things. A bunch of ceramics. This can go. I'll keep all of my weapons on me. There's so much space in this truck. And they were like decreased load or something. Like, no, it's perfect. Perfect amount. Oh, my blood bag. Auto arrange cargo. Everything's perfect. Wow. Wow. What? Okay. Bye, have a great stream. Take care, have fun. Thanks for stopping by. Look for more spots. I'll catch you later. Okay, take care. Be safe. Get some sunlight, fresh air, water. Hydrate appropriately. What's this? An interesting looking bike. They have gold. They have a gold bike. Way Station North. Is that where I'm going? It's fine. I don't need it. Can I? Am I still going the right way? I am. It's okay to fight. I would prefer it, actually. Oh, I think I failed. Yeah. It's fine. That's what this is for. Wait. That's... I have to change the ammo type. What? Come to me. Whoa. Oh. They want me. They're looking for me, not my cargo. Oh. Come on. Come on. One of these will hit. Oh, you're right there already. I thought I had plenty of time. Is that a person? No. That's a bush. Oh, somebody has a truck and they're not afraid to run me over with it. Please, just stand still. Okay, got one. Where's the other one? Who did I get? Don't you dare. Did he run his own person over? Oh. Get up! Get up, Sam Porter Bridges! They're actually just called terrorists now? someone back there? I can't tell. Gold color unlock where? Ooh, surrender. Oh! I tripped because of course I did. Hey, guy in truck, why don't you come down from there? Is he actually getting off? Is he actually getting off? Ah. Okay, well. I don't think that's the last of them. I'm pretty sure there was 2 cars last time. And then there was one that was like, ooh. Okay, there's one in the forest. Don't want to accidentally run anyone over. Oh, there's 2 in the forest. Alright, I'll stop right here. So they don't damage my truck. Though I think they've been shooting at it. Come on out, you guys. I don't want to waste my ammo. I'm out! This one? Yes. Rubber bullets. I just have a handgun right there. Okay. I finished one, so I can drop it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I am not afraid. As long as I'm prepared. Oh, I need blood bags. As long as I'm prepared, I'm not scared. I know what I'm getting into coming in here. Oh, there's more of them in there. Well, I'm here. I still think their sign's really cool. Like, you guys weren't trying to kill me. Whoa! So, don't do that. Surely they'll run out of bullets eventually, right? A blood bag! I need that. You think I can hit him from here? Did I hit him from here? Well, I wasn't hey, don't get in that. Don't get in that. Do you think I... So I actually aim, guys. Who would have thunk? No. Is that it? Is there more? There's more. More. Oh, look at those ceramics! I want it. Angry face. Angry face. What is this guy? Are we done? Yeah! Something glowing down in the crater. What crater? Lost cargo. Oh. You see, I'm going the opposite direction, but when I take them out, I will, I'll come back for it. Can I? get rid of the big stuff? What if I have like that little trolley, but it's attached to my truck? Do you think more will fit in here? Because I really need ceramics for those roads.
Right, time to move.
Keep on keeping on.
Is there any like ships here? Imagine if you applied yourself. As my mother would say. If you'd only apply yourself. Get in my truck. It fits. But do I fit? I think that's all I can fit. I don't want to like... It fits! I don't want to push my luck.
Come on, let's roll.
Okay, we're just gonna go. Guys, y'all have fun. Have a good nap. What's that? Look! All the way up there, there's people just launching themselves off of a cliff, off the mountainside. Is there no fall damage for vehicles? Oh. I got up this way when I was coming in. I can make it. Yeah! I can make it. Hey. Alright, that looks like the incinerator? Custom pyro ladder. Are we going to the incinerator? Nor. How do we get to... Do we have to go up the mountain? Man. There's like no paths ever. You'd think there'd be something.
There you go, speed demon.
All things considered. Like at least a charge tower. Do I have a PCC for a charge tower? Like this would be the perfect place for a shelter. Man. Oh, okay. Oh, I remember this. I remember crossing this. It's just through there, right? Okay. Well, the rock is waiting for me. I think we can... It's waiting for me. You're not gonna hit me. No, we're friends. Friendly. Oh, wait, this can be leveled up. I'm gonna level it up.
Let's get going, man.
I have the chiral crystals. My one good deed. Please. Do not. This is my one good deed. Do not. I will never do a good deed again if you hit me.
Don't forget, Sam. Most facilities have materials you can requisition to fabricate structures and equipment.
Is this what this is for?
Structure upgraded.
Yeah. PlayStation North. That's right there. Look, chiral crystals. Maybe I will then. Why not? Another good deed.
Nice.
being good porters. Stamina levels reduced? Is it because I'm too heavy?
Alright, time to move.
Stamina restored and fatigue levels reduced. Oh. Stop grunting, Sam Porter Bridges.
Beginning scan.
We have
Scanning
to-
Bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons
To drop
detected.
it off.
All weapons will be locked until departure.
Why am I bloody?
Cargo
Oh, because I
verified.
got shot at. Right. Forgot. Delivery. Lost cargo. This one. You're welcome.
It's Sam Bridges. Good to see you, man. Oh, Sam, you know, you're just about the only thing we've got to smile about these days.
Aww. Armor plate level 2. Nice. Is this him? Is this him? Is he the one giving? Whoa, so if you want better armor, you gotta do stuff for this guy. Oh, I see, I see.
Guess I'll be seeing you around then.
Who had
Good
the...
work. New order available.
Yeah.
Please
What was
access
that?
delivery terminal for further information.
Ah! I mean, we're going there. Oh, but the craftsman is already like max level for us. Distribution center reports from the early days. Urgent. I'll do this one on the way back. I don't think I can do more. Let's make... Whoa.
New and improved armor. Now, as you might expect, it provides increased protection compared to older models. Full body. Damage from gunfire is further reduced through a battery-powered system. And the more pieces you wear, the more effective the protection they afford will be. Now, that said, if your battery runs dry, the mitigation systems won't kick in. So you'll want to keep a close eye on your power levels when using
I don't
this
even know
gear.
where my battery is or what it looks like. Why can't they... Shouldn't mules just throw their, like, javelin things at me to shock my thing and then shoot me? Like, huh? Let's do 2. And then I'll put it on. Attach to suit. I guess I'll put it on my shoulders. And then my other ones I can also put on. What's this? Put this in my utility. Oh. Wait. Where did... Oh. This one. It's almost broken. If it breaks, it'll just drop, right? I'll just... Can I just auto arrange? Can I just... Did it put it on? It didn't put it on. Why? Am I carrying anything on my legs? Oh, I can't have the power suit. Oh. Well, I don't want it. Dare we recycle? Recycle it. What about my boots? How's my boots doing? They're fine. I have a lot of blood bags, actually. Yep.
Thank you for your continued support.
I hate your face. What do you mean you don't know where the battery level is. I don't!
Thank you for your contribution.
Is it that? I just pointed at my screen as if you can see me. Points at screen. Is it that down there? How do you upgrade your battery? Yes, that. Exactly. Right where you're pointing. Okay. Is that my truck?
Weapons restrictions.
Hey, so it's raining.
Beginning scan. Scanning
Right.
bridges ID. Verifying ID.
Going this way because there's
Weapons detect weapons
absolutely
restrictions lifted.
no BTs this way. Whoa. You know what would be great here? Heckin' Taylor, your truck. Same color as mine and it's
Beginning scan.
deteriorating.
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Weapons restrictions lifted.
What if we stuck close to the beach? And all the way around the back. And then this way. Right? Right? There's no BTs back there. And even if there are, we're just... Oh! Okay. We are now the tumbling boulders. Is this a road? Roadside factory. $600? I could build this right now. Maybe. Do I have medals? Look at him. He's just standing over there. I have 50 medals. I cannot build this right now, actually. So we're gonna go to the craftsman because that's safe. And the craftsman will have a road. So we just have to go through this. What is that? Come on, truck. I have my otter hat. Why? We're not swimming. Why is it on? We have... Wait, there's also... Are we getting wet? Because... It doesn't usually... I crashed into one. I crashed into one. No, 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 no! No, 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 no! Here we go. Suddenly otter hat. Right? What the heck is that? What the heck? What the heck? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, that didn't do anything. Hush, little BB. Can I jump this? Whoa! Okay, it's level 1. Maybe that's why. What the heck? Come here. Oh, that's my stuff. I don't need it, but please don't damage my stuff. Shall I just throw grenades at it? Where the yuck? There's like a chip in there. Get up, Sam Porter Bridges. Sam Porter Bridges! I hear like scanning, but from where? Catch! I missed. Catch again. This one's hard! Okay. Where next? Where's your weak spot? Can't tell. You don't have a map or anything. Don't go under! I have one more. Stop pinging for me. I know you're there. Catch! Hacking buildings. Getting in my way. Wait. I got it by the butt. Sam Porter Bridges, can you throw the grenade? Please. I don't know what that is. But it's fine. It's big. Oh, that's gonna hit me. Got smacked in slow motion. Hands off! This is my platform. I live here. Grip for balance. Come on. Grip for balance. Now's not the time. Oh, he is tired. Look at his little otter hood. Okay. 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 So, who's gonna help me put all that back in the truck? Who's gonna help Mama with groceries? That was a lot of grenades that I just used up. Offload. 15? 2 blood bags? Hey, but now we can explore this place. That's a lot of stuff. Sheesh! That encounter made me realize the game is pretty loud compared to your voice. I increased the volume of the game. I'll lower it again. I don't know. When I had it up on YouTube, it was really quiet. It's like there's parts where it's like super quiet and you can barely hear it, and then other parts where it's too loud, louder than me. I have one Granada. Is it damaged? 5% damaged! Bruh. I wish there was just a button for auto putting into truck. Auto. Auto. I can't. It doesn't. Anti-BT handgun. Sure. It's level 1. Anything level 1 I need to get rid of, because these guys are getting harder. Truck. Just loud during the fights, yeah. I don't know how to fix it. Is it compressor? Do we need to use the compressor? Everything can get in here. Wish it wouldn't scroll all the way to the top. Now it's not scrolling all the way to the top, and it's confusing me. On the back. Why is it now on the top? This is just so... Here. It's the game. Hopefully the new one is more optimized. But just drop it. Did it? I picked it up. Put in truck. I hate that they took out all of my stuff. That's very rude. They didn't even stay to help me clean up. Are these mine? No. I think someone was throwing this at me. A level 3? I'll take it. Take that too. Wow! E, offload cargo? No. Why would I do that? Give me all this. That guy was beefy. This is for me. No more rain though. Oh, the thing was a hood. Why did somebody go to the fruit? I actually prefer those big boss fights over having to sneak through a bunch of small guys. Big fights are less scary.
There we go.
Oh, I didn't mean to grab that. Anything else here? Just resins and ceramics? I don't even know if I... It became mine because I touched it. Whoops. Can I yoink this? Watch me not be able to get in again. I really like how they did the big fights. Me too. It feels repetitive though, because the space is the same. Calm down. I still fit. How much more can I put in there? How much hecking cargo? Okay, I guess we'll just go. Thanks. I wonder what else is here though. Just exploring. I may as well explore. See what's here. There's also a charging station thing over there. Don't rain. I just cleared the rain. What?
Yeah, I feel you.
You're joking. You're joking. I'm gonna go because I don't want to. No. I don't want to damage my cargo. I just put it all back in there. Leave me alone. I will fight you. I'm not afraid. 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 That's nothing in front of me anymore. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Ha. They were like, we actually want you to leave.
Have a pleasant journey.
This is so rude. Bruh. Okay, I just wanted to charge my truck. And they're like, you know what? We're gonna revert your progress in this region. I'll charge here.
Just a little bit more.
What was that? Okay, we're going to Lake Knot, but I think this is supposed to go to Timefall. See this?
Alright.
Truck is now clean at least, is it? Why is it raining here? Like the sky cleared up and everything, and then they were like, psych, we want you to fight again. I don't even know if I have that many granadas on me. What is that? Is that a bridge? Why is it raining here?
Someone's out here.
Oh, wasn't it raining where Mama was? I really don't know where Mama is. I just know it's like an abandoned building. I'm kind of concerned about these roads now, because then what if they break too? Did she move somewhere else? Not that I know of. I don't think so. What's that? Damaged. That's not gonna do anything. Ugh. I think I have to face it and then stand. She's somewhere out here. I think. I don't know. We visited her, and then... I don't know where she is. I think she's... No, I don't know. She might be close to the craftsman.
Safe travels.
In which case, why am I here? I have to go
Beginning
south.
scan.
Maybe
Scanning bridges.
we'll
ID.
just take our truck
Verifying
to
ID.
the...
Clear. Weapons
to the
detect well.
garage to get
Have a
fixed.
pleasant journey. Proceed to distribution center. Have a pleasant journey. Safe travels. Decontaminating suit. All clear. Good morning, Sam. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Hopefully get some of our supplies back. Is there anything here for me? Oh. No? Oh, what's this? Harbor area? I don't know. Oh, she might be in south. Oh, Agog.
You have my heartfelt gratitude.
I am Agog. She might be south.
Thank you for your contribution.
She might be... Right there! Right there! Okay. So we're gonna go to... We have to drop all this off, so we're going to Temple first. Any orders? Oh, this is just right here, just outside. Oh, but I won't have any on me. Won't be able to do it. Am I maxed out for this? No, I'm not. We're gonna go to her room first. Wrong button.
Your work is greatly appreciated.
That was nowhere near it. It was close to it was close to something. Let me look. It's so the lights are gonna turn on, right? No. You're joking. You're joking. Why are you just gonna sit there? You're like, okay. Okay, let's take a shower, I guess. That's not fragile. Covering my eyes. Getting fun in there? So let's not do that again. Ah! Don't blink at me. I want to swear so bad. How much did we get from that? It was a lot. Okay, let's go. Don't shake your head at me. I want to change BB's thing because it doesn't match us and I don't like it. You're gonna be gold like my hat. So I hate that, and it didn't do anything. Actually, it was nothing. It's just a haha. Get scared.
Ascending.
We're skipping that next time. Oh, okay. I was like, why didn't they repair my truck? Okay. What was it for? I want... V's face pattern? Who's V? Whoa! Okay. Shall we have a hat? You know, the otter hat's kind of cool. This is fine. This is cool. We're cool, right? Alright, so we're gonna go to the distribution center because it's on the way. And it says I have a package. And then we're gonna build the roads that are I believe V is the main character in Cyberpunk. I see. The one that you play as? Or just... Oh. What is this? Medals! 400 medals! You're coming with me. This is you, this is mine now. I can still fit! This truck holds a lot.
Right on.
Have a pleasant journey.
Bye bye. No peeing. I still
Safe
haven't.
travels. Weapons restrictions
I don't
lifted.
think can pee as often as it makes the game makes it seem like it would. You know?
Someone's happy.
Wait. There was a tutorial for it too. Skip. Boo. You also don't drink as often as I thought you'd need to. I think it's because I'm always on a truck and not running around. I'm not running around as much, so it's not as tired. Because, like, if they made drinking such a big point, you'd think they'd have more energy drinks than what I have right now, unless I haven't helped out anybody that's supposed to give me the upgraded drinky drink. Are these my footprints? Somebody else's footprints? Someone's blocked this road. Oh, it's raining.
Still got it.
I walk a lonely road. Who's that guy? Is my otter hood just as good as my bridges hood? That thing's been under construction for forever. Oh, there's some guys down there. Oh, wait, were those mules? They weren't dressed like... Oh, because the other guys were terrorists. That's right. Never mind. Wait! Oh, never mind. I was like, did somebody build this? Are there other players? I want to build that road, too. After this one. on keeping on. What's that?
I wonder if
Oh.
anyone's watching.
Ooh, I think that's a big one. Let's see if I can get this one.
Okay.
Oh, the otter hat has Bridges logo on it. Put it in. Oh my goodness! How much stuff can we carry? Holy heck. Alright. Just this. And then the other. Do I have enough? 160. How much do I need? And then a 40? Or an 80? An 80? And a 40? Aha! Yeah! I built a road! See? This is one of my goals. And it's only up to there. Just kidding. Yay! Now where's the other one? Lovely. It's making my commute safer. Why is road closed? Oh, because it ends right there. Got it. The next one's all the way up there. Not for long. Not for long. So many stuff that's just like right there. This one's mine too. What else is it? Oh. What's wrong with it? Is it just that it's too much? I didn't do anything about that. Can't be picky. Yeah! Another road! Yeah! Now? And now? And now what? And now? Does that one take us straight to the distribution center? What? What is that? What is that there? What does? Yay! Oh, this person left their. Wait, this is my bike. I was like, this person left their bike on the road. It's my bike.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Decontaminating sewer. All clear. Pleasant. Welcome. Sam is advised.
Hey, I'm here. What now? I have a package. Lead. Private share lock. Claim cargo. Oh, that's a lot. What, cosplayer? No. No, thank you. Not for me. Wait, I can donate weapons. Donate. You may have my level 1. This one. And... yeah. You can have that. It'll be good for you. Is it gonna show her face? No. Okay. Fabricate equipment. Let's make a new one. Anti-BT handgun. I only have it as a level 1 actually? Well then. I'd rather... I'm really low on grenades. I'd rather have this. What is this? Is this the level 2? I can't tell. How come they don't upgrade the anti-BT handgun? Am I supposed to do stuff for somebody else? That guy had level 3 boots. On my back. On. Yep. Yep. Okay. Orders maybe? No. 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 Pesticide. I am going there. La, 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 la. Oh, this one would be easy. I think I can send a robot. A bot. And send this one. Because there's already a road. You should be easy. Right, bot? Right. And now we will accept that one that goes to the farm. May as well. Pesticides. Load it into the truck. Where's my truck? Huh? Yeah. This is a lot of cargo for that place.
Order assigned.
I don't need anything else, right? We're good. I didn't use up anything.
Rest is advised.
Rest is advised.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Ain't no rest for the wicked. Vehicle destroyed by a considerate BT. What? There's a considerate BT? I may be behind on reading letters too. Where am I going? Heimfall is... Is there a road that leads there? Do I have to cross here? There's BTs here. I want to finish the ones that are like super close. I think it's through here. How considerate of them. Yeah. There goes my vehicle. I didn't know that they destroy vehicles. Oh, okay. But if we go to the weather station, it'll be faster. There's like a clear road. It just rains. No, it's fine. It's fine. I wanted to fight again. I wanted. I wanted this. It's fine. Maybe we'll get 2 boss fights. If so, from what I saw, running them over isn't. Did I run them over? Let me go. Alright, you. I have 1 Granada. I missed! I didn't miss. I kinda missed. We're go. Okay. It's right there! No biting. Alright. Don't shoot me with whatever you're about to shoot me with. At least, okay, so this is the smaller one. Where was the one that we had at that farm, the wind farm? It was like a whale, wasn't it? Like a dolphin? Oh, whoa. Oh, hey. Throw it! He likes to waste time and just stand there. Okay. Don't cry. Don't cry, baby. I guess out of the 2 of us, it should be you crying, huh? But what if I want to cry too? Damage, reverse strike. It was on a road. Why is it getting damaged? We fought this one. We're dirty. You good? We're good. We're good. We just really wanted more of these pyro crystals. Oh no, our truck! I have to pick those all up again. Level 1 hematic grenades. I'm good. Okay, don't trip. Let's not trip now. Yeah. No, Sam Porter Bridges, put it in your truck. Sam Porter Bridges.
Grin and bear it.
This goes into truck. We just had this repaired too. Had it cleaned up, refueled, buffed with wax and everything, and now it's tarred up. Can't have anything nice. Damn, Porter Bridges, don't do this to me. It's just right there. Damn, Porter Bridges! Yeah. I think we're gonna do this. Into the truck. Why do I have resins again? Okay. That's all the ones that are on this side that I can reach. Let me drop a bunch of stuff. Is there a time limit? Ugh. Before it starts raining again. Oh. Oh, we're really low. I thought we built a bunch of granadas. Are we out of granadas? I have a level 3. We're out of granadas. Did I use that many? Put this away. And then... oh my god, there's so many! To go to the back. And we have to go deeper into... I wonder if we can just farm them. Is that a thing? Because if it just resets like that, couldn't I just technically farm them? And then there's a guy that hands you weapons, so I mean like... you could...
Come on, let's get this done.
Yeah. Listen. We have to load our cargo. You need to farm them is the question. Well, it's pyro crystals. And I think you get likes. Do it for the likes. Alright. Okay. Did I get all the stuff? Maybe I should take the hematic grenade. Should I? I think I should. I don't need the assault rifle. Is the assault rifle useful against them? Cause like... I mean, I'll hold it there for now, but when we get to that weather station, let's craft more granadas. Hopefully going that way isn't gonna make it rain because I'm pretty sure the rain is... Why? Game hates me actually. No, game hates game absolutely hates me. It hates me. Like literally. Like quite literally. Good. Level 1. And it puts me right back where I started. Right in the middle of the mall. Right here. Like, it doesn't matter that I just fought them. No. And then I'm using up all of my granadas because I got rid of you already. Why is there so many? How many hecking? None behind me. They're over here. Are you still there? You're not done? You want more? Because I'm not reaching. The baby. Something here. So many baby ones. I'm out. Hey, so what if I piss on them? So So we're just gonna go. You know what? What if we go back? Oh, my truck! What if we go back? What if we just go back to the distribution center? It's just right there. You know? If we go back, we can make more and then fight again. Because that is our life now. Just suffering. Just pain and suffering and pain and suffering. Please. So we're gonna take a bath. And make more granadas.
Good morning, Sam.
Like a bazillion.
Keep on keeping on.
If I use the spray, you think it'll fix it? How come when I go into my room they don't
Have a pleasant
spray it
journey.
for me? Come on, guys. A
Scanning
little bit of
bridges
health would be
ID.
nice.
Verifying ID. Decontaminating suit. All clear. Have a pleasant welcome. Rest is advised.
Rest is advised. Yeah, we're gonna rest. We're gonna hacking rest. Hacking rest and do some reading. Our poor truck. I don't want to get grabbed because it keeps. Oh, my stuff's getting damaged. Please take a shower. Truck repaired. Ugh, covered in gunk. Skip, 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 skip. Okay, now we can go. I forgot to read. Oh no, my drink! Everybody hydrate! Bottle? You alcoholic.
Ascending.
Okay. Let's look at the cargo. 10% damage! I need to craft. Give me granadas. Who is the guy? Is it the junk dealer that gives me better grenades? Or is it this guy? I have none. No way. I have... Why do I have 2 assault rifles? Why do I have 1 grenade? Where's the assault rifles? Load. Put this in my... Wait, where's... Got another blood bag. Oh, it's almost gone. May as well. I have my private locker here. Oh, oh, it's it's in here. It's a lot of blood bags. I'll just carry it. I don't want to carry it. A shotgun. I think this is good. This is good enough. All right. Now it's take 2. But this time we have extra. Should I bring more just in case? Just in case. Just in case. I mean, do we really need all these assault rifles? Let's just get 2 more just in case. I'll carry it on my back. Beautiful. Wait, how many can I carry in my... How many can I carry in my backpack? Is it this each? Can I carry this much? I'm never running out of thematic grenades again. I can! Can I make 5 more then? Hey, yo? That's what I fight with, right? It's justified. It's justified. It's justified. I thought each one of those carried one singular grenade. Ugh. I feel you.
Rest
I
is
need to
advised.
figure out
Have a pleasant journey.
how to get the upgraded ones.
Keep on keeping on.
Okay. So. What we can do if we want to avoid here, because it hates us, is to just go south here. I don't think it's raining. Wait, we can do this. Who's here that I need to... Is it you? Old man? No, it's this guy. Who's here that I need to connect to the system? It's raining everywhere.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Let's just go to the weather station as I planned.
Keep on keeping on. Good morning, Sam.
And then we hop off and kill them. It's just, why are there so many here, you know? Why are there so many? Especially after I killed the big one. Okay. Doing this again.
Yeah, I feel you.
Watch me run into the same ones. Wait. I thought you were already doing this. Why are you doing this again? If I fight enough of them, they'll leave, right? They'll leave me alone. Affected by it, but he's still there. Good. There's no chill. These guys just wanna throw hands. The weather station's this way. Please don't make this difficult. Come on, truck. I want to build this road. Come on! I'm getting out. Listen. Climb up this. Where? Where? Go away. You gone? Is it gone? Oh, I tripped. Sorry about that. Where is it? The one that was just here. Where is it? Okay. I guess it's gone. On my truck. We're going. That looks familiar. Yep. This looks familiar. Oh, the sky is clearing.
Anytime now.
I heckin' hate this. South fresh water. Oh, don't need that. My truck. I don't even know. Oh, there's a shelter I can get this repaired at, I think, nearby. Jeebus. This hill is painful. Yay! 467 likes. Hey, somebody put a hologram.
Verifying ID. Safe trap. Weapons detected. All weapons will be lost until
Jeebus, look at
departure.
the state of
All
my
clear.
truck.
Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Anything? Oh, lost cargo. For whomst? No. Hope so, no. What do you have? Ooh, I'm going there. Agricultural machinery inspection devices. Chiral artist. Like, not city. Latest meteorology. Junk parts for watchtower repair. Now you're good. South not. I might get this one. But this one, we're going there anyway. Let's put it all in the truck. It'll fit in the truck. Yeah. It'll all fit in the truck. This is like the longest delivery ever. Whoops.
All the best to you. Stay safe out.
Level 3? People leveled it up?
Weapons restricted.
That's cool. Let's go repair our truck over here. We were affected by... Their name was just... censored. This one says it's 9.
Okay.
I just need to repair the truck.
Your work is greatly appreciated.
I wonder if I have to go down for it to repair. Or if I can just send it in. At least he'll rest. Take a break. Started to deteriorate. My generators. Let's do some reading, some light reading to calm down after all that. Gee bless. Charles Kahn. Something glowing down in the crater. This is like the third letter that they've sent me about the crater. What crater? Everyone's got something they're good at, right? Well, I'm no exception. Ever since I realized I was stranded here in this desert island of a continent, I've been keeping my eyes fixed to the horizon. And you know what? My vision's gotten better as a result. People have taken to calling me Eagle Eye Charles, and that ain't no lie. I spy things long before anyone else. Chiral clouds subtly shifting in the sky, porters walking along a mountain range, an undiscovered hot spring down in a valley, you name it. What's more, I think I've gotten even better at it lately. I reckon it's because of the chiral network. Or maybe it's all in my head. Whatever. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about... What I wanted to tell you about was something I saw the other day. Something small and glowing down in the crater where Middle Knot City used to be. I really wanted to investigate, but we don't have any bridges people in that area. Maybe it's something you could look into if you're ever passing by. Sure. Sounds like a hard mission, but I'll go, yeah. Thelma. Original motion picture soundtrack. Soundtrack to the 2017 Norwegian horror movie Thelma. Have we watched that? It was directed by that guy, a distant relative of the Danish genius that guy. The soundtrack has distinctively Scandinavian feel. Its melody is dark yet hauntingly beautiful. Thelma, the titular character, is a young woman raised by a strict family. When she falls in love for the first time, a power that had lain dormant within her is unleashed. It's a film that captures the heart, being filled with the beauty, the sadness, and the fear that comes with loving someone, with trying to connect to someone. Thelma is all about what it means to connect, and what it means to sever connections. I see. I feel like this is just all of his research material for this game. Not a lot to read, actually. I thought I did. I don't believe we have. He looks freaky. Transporter bridges. Can I look at you? Okay, let's go. Did we get a lot done today? I feel like we've just been surviving. Barely. I'm surprised that there's no, like, day-night cycle, you know? Like, You'd think they'd want us roaming around in the dark. That would be horrible. I'm guesstimating this is the way. But there's a road that way that I want to look at. Stop playing music! I don't want it. How's the audio? Still working? What's that? Uh-oh. Still working? Okay. This is Timefall Farm. I'll take it. These guys are gonna love me. I think we have to go here too for pizza. 2 pizzas. Ooh, wait, a chip. Junk dealer. What is this? Whoa. Oh, now. How did I miss that the first time? Oh, God. Yeah, so that's them. Did I cancel it? I did, but they're still gonna see me, aren't they? They're not gonna see me. They're not gonna see me. Don't look this way. You see me? Just kidding, guys. Just kidding, guys. I'm leaving. Oh. They're just like
Beginning
right
scan.
here.
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified. Thank you.
Hey.
Someone's out.
I have so much to deliver. Make delivery. Let's do this one first. And then across the river is Mama. We'll see if we can cross the river.
I am
Agog.
Agog. You have my heartfelt gratitude.
Low roar. Okay.
Thank you for your contribution.
Only 1 like from Hartman. Is there lost cargo here? There is. Do I have this? Don't store. That's mine. Where's this for? Distribution? Why do I have that? When did I get that? I've been listening to Low Roar at work. You know this song?
Delivering cargo.
Always a pleasure, Sam. Was it a rough trip this time?
Yes.
Hey, I got a lot of respect for what you're doing. I want you to know that.
Everyone does. We all think you're just wonderful.
They're really good at making you feel appreciated, at least. That's something I struggle with. Auto skip on. I'm a legend on something.
Take care of yourself, Sam.
Yeah, you'll always be welcome here.
You're so nice!
New order of
Deliver requested cargo. Look at all this. Jeepus. That's like 3. Take it all. Dun, da-da. Mama.
delivering cargo.
It's so kind of you to come and see us again. Oh my. Look how much there is.
Kind of damaged because I got beat up
I
a
wasn't
couple
expecting
times.
all this.
Let's watch the 1%. Some of these are really bad. 17! 21! It's just getting worse! 48! Keep this. Oh, I didn't get to see the delivery route. Whatever. Hey. They almost love me. They almost love me. Goose? Hologram data? Goose? Provided data for the following backpack customization feature array. Now, why would I want that? One or more bots have completed deliveries and are now available. Yay! What am I a legend on? What is the top one? Complete 36 standard orders. Nice.
Oh, before I forget, there's something we want you to have.
Swag? Oh, what's that? Swag? A star! Hey.
Take care of yourself, Sam. And
Thanks
come
for
back again
risking your
anytime.
life. Here's a
Yeah,
star
you'll always
sticker.
be welcome here.
Good work. New order available.
Well,
Please access
that's
delivery terminal
all.
for further information.
you guys have anything? Oh, the pizza! I don't want to do that right now, though. It's urgent, though. Pizza. It's so far, too. What does this guy give? You tried, Star. Emergency transformer unit stolen by mules. I can do that. This one goes to the... If this one goes to the junk dealer, I might do it because... I don't know if... No, I think he just gives legs, doesn't he? Who gives the... Fluffy bread? Time sensitive, though. I can get that there. Real quick. Vehicle maintenance. Shall we fight? I want to fight. Let's do this one. I will fight. To the death! These are non-lethal.
Order assigned.
Beat him up! I don't even need my... Oh, but I don't want to lose it.
Thank you for everything.
Whoa. We're gonna fight. Get their stuff back. And then... And then what? That's a lot of them, too.
Keep on keeping on.
Do Do they have a road to here?
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Scan me. I dare you. Peace was never an option. I say as I load my non-lethal rounds. These guys are the ones that will take my cargo though, so I have to watch my truck. The terrorists don't care. They're just babies. Come to me. I'm too lazy to go up to you. Is there anything here? I see you. We're just babies. Alright, where's the stuff? Oh, I need to hide. I need to hide. I need to hide. What's happening on? Don't shoot. I need to hide before they run me over. Oh, that guy has... I was like, that guy has armor. And then he just... it was just one shot. Alright, driver. Exit the vehicle. Driver, exit the vehicle. Waste ammo. Do not! Do not! That's right. Those guys in that truck need to come here. Send me out. Yeah! Got it? Is that all of them? All of them? Oh, is that their base over there that I have to clear? Okay. I'm doing a lot of fighting today. Oh, I will hydrate. 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Let me get into my truck. This guy. Wow. Thank you for the hydrate. How are you? How are you? Ceramics. I want those ceramics, but I feel like they'll have something really good in one of these. I saw a bunch of XLs. I want that. What do you have? Floating carrier? Eh. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Sure. Postbox. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. That's a lot of metals. Special alloys? That's a lot of ceramics. I'm building a road. I'm building a road right here. I don't need that. This is my truck, right? Yeah. Ah, vintage wine? No, you don't need any more wine. I'm stealing from them. I'm just giving them a taste of our own medicine, you know? Why does the ammo type keep changing? Did I get the wrong one? Oh, it's this one. I see 4. Oh, that's a machine. Get off that. Get down! Stop being difficult! There's somebody on a turret and I don't like it. Oh, well. Maybe he just has really good aim. Maybe Sam Porter Bridges has just really good aim. Look at all these ceramics. I need to get the truck. Look at all these ceramics. I could build so many roads with these. Run. And my battery is low.
Right on.
Jeebus, just raiding this? Raiding this place is plenty.
Okay.
He's like, alright. It's Ellie, let me in. Oh. What is this? Are these other people's stuff? Fresh water for the time vault? Yeah. I'm going there anyway. May as well. May as well. Look at all this stuff. Metals, I'll take it. Ceramics, I'll take it. Chemicals? I don't know what the chemicals are for yet. Or do I? But I just don't remember. They're everywhere. I feel like I'll need it eventually, but right now I don't know what they're for. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna get these big ceramics. What? Don't fall. Don't fall, Sam Porter Bridges. Dun, dun, dun. And then surely there's more. There's so much more. I'm being greedy.
Gotta stretch my legs.
It's okay, right? Because it's for the greater good. I can't believe I didn't have any ceramics at one point. They're all right here. These guys are hoarding it! That's why I got it. I think we can build the road outside of South Knot City? Is that what it's called? Near where Mama is.
Right on.
From what I recall, that place, yeah, I've fought there, so it's raining. Get this done and go back. I don't remember where I'm going after that. More boxes. I don't know why that's there. I hope they're still knocked out by the time I go.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID.
Batteries will not be used while on the grid. Is that true for my car? Because I'm...
Cargo verified. Thank you.
Run over their hologram. Sorry. I have your stuff. And more. Requested. Partial delivery? There's more? Let's do lost cargo first. No, don't entrust. Also, don't entrust. That's mine.
Always a pleasure, Sam. Was it a rough trip this time?
No.
Hey, I got a lot of respect for what you're doing. I want you to know
But
that.
like, where is...
Everyone does.
Where
We
could
all
it be?
think you're just wonderful.
Just need to get some gas. How much is gas nowadays?
Take care of yourself, Sam. And come back again anytime.
They're so
Yeah,
nice.
you'll always be welcome here.
I want to live with them.
Good work. New order available. Please access delivery terminal for
No
further
new orders
information.
available, please. I need to look for the other stuff. What do you mean it's only a partial delivery? What could it be?
Fawn keeping on.
Oh, there.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
These guys are still knocked out, right? Right. Was it about to scan me? Was it under this? Oh. Where is it? Huh? I'm lost. My battery is running out, but I don't know where it is. It's not here. Is there something over here? Well, there's a charge tower over there. Maybe it's over there. There. I'll pick it up and charge.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Camcorder bridges. Yeah, give. Put in truck. Put in truck. I'll take all of your ceramics. I mean, it's just right there. We're going there anyway, so take this too. They want me to take stuff to the cosplayer. That's so much stuff. Where'd it go? Oh, I got worried I couldn't get into my truck anymore. We're building all the roads.
Let's roll.
This one spot is gonna be funding all the roads in America. Did we get it all now? I think it was just 2 that I was missing. I wonder what's this way. Wonder if I could have gone this way. Thanks. I love how they put it like right at the border.
Hey,
Fully
buddy.
charged.
You're on electricity fire right now.
On the road again. That looks like a route. We could totally scale that. No. Do not scan me. All of your people are asleep. What is that way? Is it just the ocean?
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure.
Only single-handedly keeping Stranding 1 built. Watch, by the time I play Death Stranding 2, all of the rows will be gone. I have more lost cargo for you. I will not be storing my ceramics. Keep hold. This one's mine. This one. I don't know what this is, but you can have it. Oh, distribution. I might as well take it.
It's so kind of you to come and see us
All
again.
of their stuff is just
Hey,
right
I got a lot of
outside.
respect for what you're doing.
We're
want you to
being
know that.
bullied. You'd think
Everyone
we'd send
does.
more
We
reinforcements
all
to these
think you're
guys.
just wonderful.
How do they eat? Are you guys feeding them?
Take care of yourself, Sam.
Yeah, you'll always be welcome here.
Let's
work.
go.
New order.
Deliver requested cargo. This time we have all of it. Lovely. There's still one person in this region who
Always a
hasn't
pleasure,
connected
Sam.
with us. I don't know how
Was
to
it a
make
rough
him
trip this
join.
time?
Skip.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Look how much there is.
Wow. I wasn't expecting all this. Oh, before I forget,
Another star?
there's something we want you to have.
Oh. Lightweight metals. Lightweight ceramics. Yeah, I'll take it. Put it in the truck. Look at all the stuff we have.
Take care of yourself, Sam. And come back again anytime.
Yeah, you'll always be welcome here.
Can I live with you guys yet? No.
New order available. Please access delivery terminal for further.
Let's see. Do you have any? Oh, there's orders for me. Ah, the pizza! It's so far, though. I could probably make it all the way over there in 60 minutes. The thing is, do I want to go all the way over there in 60 minutes? Okay, we're gonna go to... I'll take this. I don't know if I want to take this, actually. Nah. Nah. Y'all are fine. I'll come back another day. That pizza will be delivered another day. Cause we gotta go talk to Mama and progress the story a little, you know? I just wanna know what's that way. Just the ocean? There's nothing there.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Now we're gonna find a way across. Does this look like a way across? Cargo catapult. That looks like a road. I don't know if I trust this, because there was a truck in the middle of it, right? Otherwise, we'd have to go all the way up here. Cosplayers on the way. But she's such a hard spot to get to. We're gonna skim along here and see if there's a route we can take.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All
Shall we
weapons
go
will
up
be
the
locked until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridge. Weapons restrictions lifted.
Ceramics. These guys are still knocked out. I think I canceled it. What is that? What is that? Oh, I definitely can't cross that. Huh? What is this?
Okay, here you go, Speed Demon.
That's a cute one! Wait, I want that! I want the truck! I want that truck! What's over there? It's an armored one too. But I don't want to have to I don't have to transfer all my stuff. Man, I don't know. That looks like a trap. That feels like if I try to cross there, the truck is done for.
Still got it.
No way I can cross that. And then I'm gonna lose all my materials. Should I risk it? Should I risk it? There is a backup truck right there. How far can I go? Do I trust? Do I trust? This is gonna be the dumbest thing I ever do. With all these mats. Alright, Ellie. How smart are you? You already... No, we're not gonna do it. We're gonna be careful. Steal it? I want to. I really, really want to, but I have to like transfer everything. What if? No. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Don't even entertain the thought.
What can't you do?
We're not doing it. It's dangerous. We're gonna go the long way. Oh look, a truck. That looks just as wide as the other one, honestly. And the bridge isn't... You know what? Let's do it. I have too much to lose! I have too much to lose, but I really want to try it. I didn't get that much airtime. You know? I didn't go that far. You think? Would we even be able to go up there? I don't even have the... I think it's for... I think that jump is for motorcycles. I'm about to lose a truck, aren't I? No. We're gonna go the safe way. We're gonna be smart about this. Because at the end of the day, I'm a puss. I'm just a baby. I'm just a girl. No. I'm the safest driver in all of America. Well. But if it starts raining, we will consider it. Pouches. Destroyed pouches? How do you destroy your pouches? Okay, we have to go at least to here. Let's see. Is it raining? We'd have to cross the rain anyway. It's not raining here, at least. And I have a PCC in case I need to charge my truck. Why is this so hard? Just to get up this stupid thing. Alright. Not bad. I don't think my truck can go through that. You're fine. So dramatic. And for why? So that's the battery for my... for getting shot at, right? Oh no, it's raining. Why is it raining here? It lied to me. Oh, my cargo took...
Don't give up.
You hear that, Sam Porter Bridges? Okay, hold on. Where to go? I can cross here! I can cross right there. That's not a battery. What? That's a post box. The battery is all the way over... That's not... Huh? There's no batteries. Should I build one? I don't want to go too far.
Don't give up.
Especially if we're going over a river. Maybe I should cross the river first and then...
Juice.
Oh no, no, oh no, oh no!
Charged.
That's so fast! What? So that was very brave of me. Jesus. Come on, any day now.
Construction complete.
Alright. Okay, so now we go to... This is a road. Should we follow this route? I just need to be full. We might have to fight. I need to look at my cargo too. Apparently. I did take 1% damage from doing that jump. I don't get it then. So if you do the ramp, do you not get damaged? I don't know what that bridge is, but we're gonna take it. Come on. Come on. No way. Am I stuck here? I'm stuck! And it's using up my battery too. I'm stuck in the rain. No way. No way. No way. You're joking. You're joking. I just got here too. Oh, mercy. I hate these stupid rocks. Whoever designed this terrain. I hate you. Come on! Why is it so hard? Alright. I'll take this bridge just because it's here. Alright, hold on. Is that a K-pop song? So we're gonna go this way. Where are these roads? Because... Okay! Not that way. Not that way, actually. Why is there music playing now? Okay, no more rain at least. So I charged and oh nope, now it's raining again. There's a road right here. Hey, what are you at? Empty. Not a single bit of contribution. Okay, I think I'm nearing the spot where there's BTs, so... Okay. It's just straight to Mama's lab. Avoiding autotoxemia. Right. So why would you say that right now? Oh, look at that. Look at all that. Whoa. Yeah, I'll take it. Doink, 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 doink. And medals? I'm greedy. I'm greedy and I like loot.
Right on.
Right on. Let me climb up there. Mama! Ooh. Mama's gonna be nice to us, right? A charger. Yes.
Anytime now.
Someone's power skeleton got destroyed.
Alright. Full charge.
So, Mama was getting rained on, but she didn't turn old. I'm here, Mama. Oh, oh, oh. Mama. Oh, that one's gold.
Hey, Sam. Thanks for coming back. Got something for you. These are your new
I love her
cufflinks.
lip color.
They still work as a terminal, but I've added a weapon function. I was able to redesign everything from the ground up after the last connection.
And they're weapons too now.
That's right. Cord cutters.
Oh.
I should explain. BTs are connected to the other side via umbilical cords, right? When those cords bring the matter of our world into contact with the antimatter of theirs, boom. Void out.
Uh-huh.
But, just as Deadman theorized, your blood does have unique properties. It can be used to cut a BT's cord.
A dagger.
So, I've added that function. Cut the cord of the BT, and it returns to the world of the dead. No BT, no void out. Win-win.
Okay. Upgrade, I guess.
These things can cut them loose.
If you can get close enough without them noticing, yes.
That's what the sneaking is for. So,
Cord snipping super handcuffs.
Right.
with my truck, I'm never gonna use it.
Let's try them out.
Oh. Oh, with her.
Cut the cord connecting us.
Oh, Mama. Let's commit a murder.
She's sound
Not
asleep.
this murder.
Made sure she got plenty of milk. Just do it.
No. I mean,
Please, Sam. Set us free. This world was never hers, but all the same, I didn't want her to leave it. Even though she's already lost. Truth is, she's not really my daughter.
The attack and everything, that was all a lie.
No, that part was true. My ovaries can't produce eggs, and Lochna has trouble with her uterus. Long story short, neither of us can have children. I was alright with it. I mean, children, who needs them, I thought. But my sister thought differently. Lochna wanted a child, someone to carry her genes. She fell in love with another member of Bridges, but he died in an accident. She was devastated, of course,
Aww.
as was I. Back then, strong emotions like that, I could feel hers, and she could feel mine. When I sensed her desire to join him, end it, I went to her and said, let's have a baby. We took one of Lochna's eggs and fertilized it with his frozen sperm. And I carried it to term. A healthy baby grew inside me. But then there was the attack. And our bond was severed. I wanted to tell her, but I was bound to the child. I couldn't just abandon her. But I was wrong.
I feel like I shouldn't be here.
Lochna needs to know. You have to break some ties to forge others. Can't be tied to everything. If we're going to reconnect the world, I need to reconnect with my sister first.
Yeah.
So please,
The
Sam.
BB is like staring at it. I mean,
Do it.
surely there's more samples. She could carry another child, right? Like, okay, bye. Whoa. Goodbye. Are you touching her?
All right, Sam. Take me home to Lochna.
You're joking. I have to carry you all the way over there? You have a truck?
Sam,
I do.
would you sit me up?
What?
I haven't been outside in a long time. It's just too much to take in all at once.
Okay, I guess.
You sure? Thought you might be claustrophobic after your time in the rubble.
I'll be fine, so long as I can see out of the bag.
God, and then I have to fight people? Can I leave her in the
The
truck?
warmth of the light, the touch of the wind, the scent of the world.
There has to be another way.
Lucky you. The two of you are still connected.
Drink water else. I drink.
Okay, Sam.
Oof.
Let's go.
Okay. This is gonna be difficult. I understand wanting to be buried like a corpse. My stuff. Is there another way? Is there a way this way? Like, I have to go all the way around? My stuff. That least she's wearing glasses, so she's not staring directly at me, you know?
I had a special surprise prepped and everything.
Uh-oh.
But it looks to me like your hands are full. It's no biggie. We can always tweak the rules a bit.
Hey, Mama. You want to maybe get off?
It's coming.
The mask they were talking about.
Woo! He looks hungry. All you gotta do to make it out alive is not get eaten. Sound like fun? Of course it does.
With her on my back. Hey, I kind of need my stuff, Mama. Do you mind getting off real quick? The butthole! I have to throw grenades into the butthole. Run where? Okay, so I'm gonna drop this. Wait! Surely you've run this way, right? This is the way, right? This is where I'm supposed to run, right? Okay. Open up! Open your mouth! Open your mouth! Double jump. Oh god, he's right there. Just hide. Can you get me in here? Oh, he's right there. I just squashed her. You sure you want to be back there? It's kind of, you know, risky over there. What is this? Those are still all my stuff. I'm going this way. Ooh. Ooh. Stop! You're scaring Mama! Oh, I'm out. I'm out of that too. This one. On the ground. On the ground. Do you want, wait. Please don't do this to me. I don't have any. I don't have my gun. Am I really out of everything? I hope that hit. One more. Oh, that guy's helping. Eat this! Did I miss? Found the helper guy. She's not screaming as much as I thought she would be screaming damage. I can't get up there. Don't shoot. I can't! I can't get up! Me too, BB. My stress levels are also increasing. Where is it? Where is it? Is it one shot? Damage for why? Hey.
Thanks for that, Sam.
Oh god.
That was amazing, Sam. I don't know how you managed
People
to
are
pull
just
that off.
watching.
If only we all had your talents.
Talent. What do you mean that was amazing? Were you watching from a distance and didn't even bother helping? Give me this. And we still need to take her. Oh, my stuff got removed. Are you serious? Hey, Mama, can you go in here? I can't load her into the truck. Damaged? Can she die? Oh, I'm scared. What if I get her killed? Hold on. I have to offload this stuff so it'll be faster. The scrolling part will be faster at least. Okay. That's a lot of grenades that I used up. Jeebus. I thought he'd like kidnap her so we don't have to carry her all the way around. But no, she's still here. She's still here. We still gotta go. Oh my goodness. I was on my last blood bag too. Do I have any grenades? I do still have grenades. Okay. Ugh. The music needs to stop. She looks clean too. Pristine and everything. Kinda like fell on my ass a couple times and squashed her. I guess that's her health bar, health meter. There has to be a shorter way. Maybe if I take her to the facility, she'll heal. Oh, not what I meant to do. She's right there. Sorry, Mama, wait. You ever wanted to go on a road trip, Mama? I'm sure she's fine. We squashed her like twice, I think. And then we got blasted. Mama will be like... So way. We need to get rid of all this stuff too. Let me build a road real quick. I think I'm gonna try and build a road and like go into a city, and then this will be a problem for Monday. It's getting rather late. Is that mine? It is. Stop this music. I'm gonna have to fight those guys too? I guess I don't need this climbing anchor. No, I'm gonna bring it just in case. Famous last words. Audio is dying as well? Okay, hold on. Coming out. I'm sorry, are you uncomfortable? So am I. Where'd her glasses go? Okay. As long as she has her glasses, I'm fine. Oh, I'm carrying so much. This is completely unnecessary too. Like, I don't have to build roads. I want to. And, you know, this is the labor. This is what it's costing me. I realize...
Stay strong, Sam.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say. I realize I have to cross the mule territory with her on my back. That means I can't carry weapons. Don't complain. This... I don't even know if I'll have space. Ugh.
Okay.
All my stuff is like right here too. Hey, Mama, you wanna go here real quick? I can't. Can I carry that? I can. So my rifles. My rifles. Carried in hands. Carried in hands. Carried in hands. I have to leave the rest of this. Please don't look at the camera, Mama. Okay, so we have this. You're gonna have to go on the ground and I'll take this one on my back. TCC, can I carry that? Did I drop something else for that? No. more important, right? I didn't need the other stuff. This'll have to do. I mean, I can store it here. I'm gonna... Ooh.
Standard delivery cargo may be entrusted to other porters to deliver. Entrusted cargo delivered by others to a destination may be collected from a nearby share locker.
Yes. Okay. Why did it do that? This one. Distribution center. Where's the other one? You know what? It's fine. We're gonna just go to the city. Private locker. You guys can go in here for now. There's not much left of this. It's fine. That can stay on the ground. Jeebus, this takes forever. Alright. Alright. Oh, we just phased through her. She's staring there like... Ugh. We're going to South Knot City. We're going to South Knot City and... we're gonna see if Mama gets healed or cured or whatever. Oh look, a road to be built. Is there another? We can do this one. Why on metals? Maybe there's another one. If I have to fight BTs and mule with her on my back, BTs are fine because I have the pouch. This one.
You can do it.
Thanks. Thanks, Mama. Oh, perfect. Nope. Is that it? We built 3 roads today! Yay. She'll have her own private room, right? Need to repair. It's scary that she's already there when we get in. Need to repair the truck. She'll never leave her cocoon. Okay, at least we'll be together.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Welcome to South Knot City. Proceed to distribution center. Safe travels.
A blood bag. I need one of those. I need a lot of those.
Decontaminating super. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Sam Porter Bridges. Do I have anything to turn in here? At least she has glasses. The one good thing. I don't have a memory chip. It's gonna be a problem for Monday. Did I press the button?
That's sweet of you, Sam.
Was that fragile? Was that fragile? coffee cup.
Thank you for your contribution.
Oh. Dare I have another delivery? Haha. Hard wearing underwear. Oh. Beauty products for natural looking skin. Large consignment of emergency provisions. That's not gonna fit in our truck at all. How do I do this? I want to deliver that. Well, maybe if we didn't have all these mats.
Your work is great.
Let's take a break, Mama. Don't you want to sleep? Don't you want to take a shower? Rest your head? Are we gonna drop her off? Ugh, please don't sleep like this. That fight took a lot out of us. We're gonna shower before we get off. Because he needs it.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
Jeez. No more mule trouble. Did it actually help? Oops. Oops. I want to see if Mama's still there. Shall we read? Or should I just go? That's a lot of mail. That's a problem for Monday. Let's leave it for Monday. We can do that at the beginning and then yeah. It's fine. It's okay. Well, everyone, it is Wednesday. So that's it for me. It do be that time. 2 p.m. We're 3 hours in. I shall continue this on Monday. And then, we're gonna figure out how to get Mama all the way around the mountain. I wonder if there's a, just go to the, if we could just go to the farm? You know? Just go to the farm and like, scale the mountainside. Surely that's safe. I'll figure it out on Monday. It's not for me to think about over the weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you guys Monday, and enjoy your weekend. Be sure to hydrate, stretch, and get some sunlight. And that's it. I think I re-rolled that for you, don't I? Hey, there we go. Me turn, my turn, my turn. Alright, see you. Good night. Goodbye. I love you.